It's a follow-on challenge from last week, so turning it into a bit more that real-world scenario so that it actually becomes useful given the amount that you know that you have to deposit each month. So say, for example, let's change our parameter. So um, this is how the parameter is set up. It is called the customer plan deposit. It's a whole number, and I've made it a list of values. The reason I've done that rather than allowing all values is, well, A, so that it doesn't allow users to add silly numbers in there, and B, when I publish this workflow to Tableau server, my Tableau server does not allow you to have all values as an option. You have to have it as a list of values. So I've just written out a quick list of 50 up to 500 in £50 increments. So that's how I've done that. So let's change it to 250. Why not? To make it a little bit more interesting. So that's the very first thing that I did. And then I've set that to 250. Because I did that within the option itself, then I didn't get this set option there. So let me just change it to 250, and then you always need to make sure that you hit the set when you're doing it from the drop down, so that it actually updates the flow. So where did I pop it into the flow? So far this flow is exactly the same as before. We're just fixing that pound field, fixing the provider, and then here we go. I just bring in a field for the customer plan deposit. And that is literally just the name of this field, and it's literally just the parameter value that goes in there. I did kind of reflect on doing this later in the challenge. Like, is this really very necessary? Because I could just use the parameter whenever I want to kind of make calculations that involve the parameter. I don't need a field to be able to do those calculations. But I kind of came to the conclusion that I prefer to be able to see it as a column in my data, so that I can see that value and I know what that value currently is and how it's going to interact. But that's one of those entirely kind of personal preference things, I would probably say. Okay, so because we can see that the customer has £250, then we can see some of these accounts are less than £250. So we need to update the amount that actually gets deposited. So our deposit amount then becomes basically the minimum between the customer plan deposit and the max monthly deposit. So the minimum of these two fields basically. And then what's the leftover savings that aren't going to get any interest? It is the customer plan deposit minus the monthly deposit. There we go. Okay, and then the same as before, we're just going to scaffold our data out. So we create those two fields for the first month and the 12th month, scaffold between them, and then turn them into a month number. Then again, not too much change here. When we're applying the monthly interest, we just need to make sure that we update that from the max monthly deposit to just simply the monthly deposit. That is possible with the amount that we are putting into our savings account. And then adding on the leftovers is a new step in this. So that just means that once we've applied the interest, we have those leftover savings that don't get any interest that we also want to be included in our total, just because then we can see how much money we're getting. It might be that there's an account where it's more worthwhile to put the money into that, even though some of the savings won't receive any interest because the interest rate's so high. Let's have a look. Have a look around. Okay, and then again, this one isn't too different. It's nothing that we need to tweak here, in fact, nor this step either, where we work out the maximum possible savings. Or the total interest, that's all good. That's all just, well, actually, no, the total interest, we do need to make sure that we change that from the, before it's the maximum possible savings minus the maximum monthly deposit, but in this case, it would be our customer's planned deposit times by 12. So it's the customer's planned deposit rather than the monthly deposit because, of course, we've added on those leftovers earlier in our steps. Okay. And then we come to the ranks, and let's do a little bit of investigating here. So for example, the 250 accounts, they are ranked either first or they're kind of lagging behind. The 200 account comes third, which is quite interesting. The 150 yeah, definitely not the one to go for. And then maybe the 300, yeah, the 300 still works, even though you're not able to put in the full amount. And then as well, the 500 is a good option. So very interesting. It does become more about the interest rates. They become almost more important as soon as you're not considering the full amount that you can put in. So hopefully you found this challenge too. That is all that we did for it. And I hope you enjoyed watching.